community can't stand by and tolerate the usage of chemical weapons by Assad regime. Don't you believe there's a green light for Assad to use barrel bombs, heavy shells, bomb, and killing more than 500,000 of his people? Thank you so much.
Chemical weapons are illegal. Chemical weapons are banned. And I lived in Brussels, not far from where chemical weapons were used during the First World War. So 100 years ago, during the First World War in Europe, we saw the barbaric and horrendous effects of the use of chemical weapons. And that's the reason why a few years after the First World War, we had the first international convention banning the use of chemical weapons. And therefore I strongly believe that it is the responsibility of the whole international community to uphold that ban, to uphold the prohibition of chemical weapons. And therefore we cannot be silent when chemical weapons are used. We need to react. We need to make sure that those responsible are held to account. And that's exactly what NATO allies have done. First, by raising this issue in the UN Security Council. The US, the United Kingdom, France, and other countries have pushed again and again for an independent investigation by the UN into what happened in Duma. That has been blocked again and again by Russia. Also knowing that previously we have had independent investigations proving that the Assad regime has been behind the use of chemical weapons. This time it was not possible to get any agreement, and therefore they left NATO allies with no other alternative than to act the way they acted during the weekend or the night between Friday and Saturday. This has been strongly supported by all NATO allies. I also welcome the strong support from Turkey, both from Ankara immediately after the strikes took place, but also by being part of the consensus, the joint statement on behalf of all NATO allies we agreed on Saturday, where we strongly condemn the use of chemical weapons, where we where we underline that those responsible has to be held to account, and also where we highlight that the effect of the strikes has helped to degrade the chemical capabilities of the Syrian regime. It sends a clear message of deterrence, meaning that it shows that the international community reacts when chemical weapons are used, and it helps to protect the ban on chemical weapons. Let me also add that the use of chemical weapons in Duma happened in an area where the Assad regime operates with support of its backers, Russia and Iran. We have seen both intelligence, which has been shared with NATO allies, but we've also seen a lot of open sources, open media reports about the use of chemical weapons in Duma. And we also had the World Health Organization reporting about civilians with symptoms consistent with the use of chemical weapons. So there was more than enough reason to act, and to not act would actually be to erode the ban on chemical weapons. We had to do the opposite. We had to uphold the ban on chemical weapons, and that's exactly the reason why NATO allies acted as they did a couple of days ago.
Bu harekatı gerçekleşti. I'm from Haberturk. I have a question to Secretary General. You said that NATO is one of the key allies of NATO, supports all operations, but some NATO allies have stated that Turkey should be excluded from NATO. What do you think about it? My second question is for both the Secretary General and the Minister. There are certain statements from Greece, as you know, and today Prime Minister Binali Yıldırım said that a Greek flag was flown on one island, which is not known to belonging to which country. And what do you think about the tension between Greece and Turkey? And Mr. Minister, are there going to be some additional measures after this tension between Greece and Turkey?
Turkey is a valued NATO ally, and Turkey contributes to our shared security, our collective defense in many different ways. Turkey is important partly because of its geographic location, close to all the turmoil, the violence, Iraq and Syria. And therefore Turkey is in particular important when it comes to fighting terrorism, No other ally has suffered more terrorist attacks than Turkey, and NATO is present in Turkey to support and help this country. We are present with different kinds of military capabilities. We have what we call assurance measures, meaning we have more naval presence, we have more air presence, we have our AWACS planes, we have intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance, we have more exercises, and then we have augmented Turkish air defenses and ballistic missile defenses with the Spanish and Italian batteries along the borders towards Syria. And we are also working with Turkey in many different ways, including by having the AWACS plane in Konya, which is part of the coalition efforts to defeat Daesh. Let me also add that we are investing a significant amount of money in Turkish military infrastructure, billions of US dollars over many years. So we will continue to work with Turkey. And I thank Turkey for the many contributions also Turkey make, for instance, to our efforts to fight terrorism, not only in this not only to fight Daesh, but also, for instance, the presence in Afghanistan, and also the strong support that Turkey has expressed when it comes to scaling up NATO training activities in a country like Iraq, where we will launch a training mission in the near future. So there has been, and I would like to underline that all NATO allies welcome Turkey as a highly valued ally. We understand the importance of having Turkey in the alliance. Turkey has been a committed ally for decades, and we would like to continue to work with Turkey, especially in a more demanding and challenging security environment as we see today.